Welcome to Co-Opinions. My name is Josh, and today I have Brent with me.
Yeah.
And I have Derek with me.
That's me.
So before we get into our topic for the evening, why don't we talk about the things that we've been playing, little news that's been catching our eye. Derek, you haven't been on before, and I know you don't get a chance to play an enormous amount of games, so why don't you tell us about what you've currently been enthralled with?
Well, I am sad to say that I picked up Breath of the Wild a little bit later than most people did, but I'm so glad I did. It's been really engaging, so much so that I have been neglecting my own schoolwork to play for, say, 16 straight hours. Very easy to get wrapped up in.
Well, you know, once you have wrapped it up, we did a whole series about these Zeldas. So one in particular focuses on Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild. I would highly recommend that one.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there.
Thanks for leaving me out of that one.
Hey, man, it's not from a lack of trying. This episode has been like a year in the making.
I know. I get a little busy.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you'd like to discuss, though?
No, I'm looking forward to Zero Horizon Dawn. Is that
Horizon Zero Dawn?
Yeah, I always get that order mixed up.
The words are in there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Didn't I see something about a reboot or something like Shadow of the Colossus?
Shadow of the Colossus is being remade on PS4 with the current generation hardware. Plus side, it's going to look amazing, and it's going to have all the strengths the game used to have. Downside, there's supposed to be very few technical upgrades, so all the janky controls are just as janky as they were back in 2007.
Maybe I'll avoid that one.
It looks gorgeous, though.
But I've also picked up, what is the one? The Guardian?
The Last Guardian picked
yeah.
up like 6 months ago.
Yeah, well, as soon as I finish Breath of the Wild and finish this big test, I might eventually get to it.
Mm-hmm. Well, then you can listen to the podcast that we're going to record, Chris and I, about The Last Guardian when I beat it before you.
Yeah, okay.
So,
yeah.
Anything else?
Nope, that's all I got.
Wonderful. Brent, why don't you go ahead?
Oh, okay. Since the last time we were on, which I won't date these too much, a few days ago.
To strangle you.
I did finally beat Dishonored, which only was 30 minutes left last time we were on. So, Oh god, I love that game.
Dishonored, Death of the Outsider. Do you have? I'll chime in here as well because I too got through Death of the Outsider. That was a bleak ending.
Yeah,
You knew where it was gonna go.
it was bleak. It was bleak, but at least it wasn't dark.
It wasn't dark. It was definitely a note of closure on the series.
Yeah, I'm with you. I really hope they come back to it.
I hope they give it a little time, but they come back to it. They introduced some interesting ideas. We're planning on doing a retrospective on this series before too
so
long.
excited.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
I also wrapped up Battlefront 2 over the last few days as well.
Yeah, I know you were more positive about that campaign mode.
I think there was a lot of hate. I think it was a lot of hate for EA that was overwhelmingly judgmental on the game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the story wraps up and then they do an epilogue set 28 years later, and I don't feel like the epilogue says that the story wasn't wrapped up at all. It was. The epilogue just sets up the DLC that's coming out in the next month.
Gotcha.
But so far, I've super enjoyed it. I mean, there was, to be a little critiquey on it, there was some getting to play as Star Wars heroes where you jump out of playing the main characters. There can be some jarring aspects control-wise because the heroes don't play the same as playing as the regular soldier people.
Mm-hmm. But you were expecting that.
Well, I wasn't expecting you to be able to play as heroes in the story. I hadn't actually read that. That was actually kind of a surprise when you start playing as Luke Skywalker.
I thought I told you that was going to be a thing.
I don't think we talked about that.
Okay, that's neither here nor there. I did, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, it is.
Oh, wait, I got another one. I forgot to mention. Do we talk about phone games?
I mean, grasp at any straws you want.
Okay,
there,
cool.
buddy.
So I don't watch the TV show, but Stranger Things released a free version of their first season in a game form. And it's really... Okay, so I probably enjoyed it as much as I did because Zelda's my favorite series of games. But it's like an 8-bit version.
Of what I assume to be the first season?
Of the first season, yes.
You should watch the first season.
I will. But yeah, it was really fun. It's very dungeon-esque. So, throwback to the original Zelda. I really, really liked it. It only took me about 6.5 hours to beat, but...
You said it was free.
It's free. 6.5 hours is good for a free game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a full version, really. It's not like... I didn't feel like I was being gypped because it was free.
I've paid more money for less.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's good.
But if we're good on that, I wrapped up Death of the Outsider myself, as I discussed, and I'm planning to give Dark Souls 3 another shot. We'll see if I can get past that first boss. Outside of that, I'll probably start up FF12 HD soon, even though Black Friday's coming up very, very soon, which means that I'm going to have a huge influx of games.
But The Evil Within 2 is calling you, Josh.
Yeah. About to say... So, little backstory on this.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't get the reference.
So, a little backstory on this. The Evil Within, Kara was super excited about, and we picked... I was not, because it looked like a mediocre horror game, and we picked it up, and it was a mediocre horror game. But the second one looks better, and it's going to be $25, which comes down to $20 on Black Friday because of my discount. So, for $20, I want it to be better. But expectations are low.
Then maybe it will be better.
Yeah, that just means that if it's halfway decent, you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
Now, if it's worse, then woo, buddy.
Yeah, I've not heard it's worse, but the big problem here is that she really wants to play Odyssey. Evil Within,
don't we all?
Right. And the Evil Within 2 is not a substitution for Super Mario Odyssey.
I can fully agree with that one.
But anyways. Let's get on to the topic. Brent has been wanting to discuss this for a long time, since before I even beat the last game of the series. Brent has been wanting to talk about the Batman Arkham games that started last generation with Batman Arkham Asylum, then went to Arkham City, Arkham Origins, which we won't really touch on much, and then wrapped up with Arkham Knight. And Derek's like, I love Arkham Knight. I love all those games. I'm like, cool, do you want to come on? He's like, yeah, sure. A year ago.
Well, hey, med school's hard, okay?
Yeah, okay. I know you've been in it for like 15.
No.
That's not
trying to get in.
Okay, sorry.
But I'm in now.
Anyways, that's what he said.
Anyway. Oh. Is that a joke that's going to have to be edited out?
No.
Oh, thanks. My expense.
Anyways, so... we all played the main trilogy of these games, and something that I was curious about, when Arkham Asylum was announced, we were all excited for one reason or another.
I mean, I wasn't.
You were still looking... Now, you liked the Batman Begins game,
It was good. Well, I mean, I enjoyed the fear aspects that they implemented into that game.
In Batman Begins.
Yeah.
And... I was looking forward to it because I just heard it was a good Batman game, which I had not even given Batman Begins a chance. I just know that this was in an era where superhero video games were typically not great. So when they said, oh, there's a good Batman game coming out, I'm like, I'm going to give this a shot. And then the reviews came out for Arkham Asylum. It's like, oh, this game's actually awesome.
Do we mention the trivia note that this was once a rhythm game?
Sure. Go.
What? Oh, you didn't know that?
No.
Originally, and you can still kind of tell it in Asylum based on like the way the action is set up. It was meant to be a rhythm-based game. Rhythm-based Batman game. Yeah.
Well, you can kind of see that in the combat. Because you really got to time your hits.
That's the truth. That took me forever to get.
Mm-hmm. So, the reviews for this game when it came out was crazy good, like 9s out of 10s, 10s out of 10s. It just blew it away. Mm-hmm. And I played this game when I was in undergrad, and I enjoyed it a lot. But the absolutely overarching gist of it is that Batman takes the Joker to Arkham Asylum, and the Joker, you find out, is trying to get a super version of Bane's Venom, and then at the end, the Joker... glossing over the entire story here, but at the end, the Joker injects himself with the Bane Venom called Titan. Him and Batman throw down, and
yeah, you fight like a story-tall Joker.
Yeah, just an enormous brute of a man.
My one thing about the game, Stan's, like the one critique I have is the boss battles.
So do you recall any of the boss battles? I know at this point it's rapidly approaching a decade ago.
Yeah.
The big thing about the boss battles was there were two kinds, and really it was only one kind in Poison Ivy.
I'll give Killer Croc. So
that was not a boss fight.
A lot of people consider it to be one.
Not a boss fight.
Because that's an encounter with a character.
Well, it was straight up a quick time event half the time.
It's a quick time event where you have to walk slow. Like, that's the two things that happen in that. There's two kinds of boss fight. Either you have a big dude who you avoid until you counter him, or you have Poison Ivy.
Actually, now that you say that, I do vividly remember that.
Yeah, and depending, like, there were varying degrees. The more boss-like they were mini-boss versions where you only had to do it, like, a few times, and then bigger boss versions where you had to do it a few more times.
Right, I do remember that.
Now, a lot of praise was given to this game because they reincorporated the detective aspects of Batman. This is something that had not really been done because the media prior to this, like the Batman movies and the Batman cartoons, they downplayed the detective half of Batman in lieu of the action-y bit.
I would say that I would argue the cartoon we grew up on, which I feel like this is the adult version of that.
Oh, it's got the same voice actor.
Well, yeah, but I would say...
Oh my God, I can't believe I'm just now realizing that. Oh.
Just now, really?
Yeah.
It's been almost a decade.
You have said that to me so many times tonight. I realized a lot of things
I'm going to say it more.
But I would argue the cartoon we grew up on, it still pushed heavily on his detective skills.
I don't think... there's no good way to focus on the detective-y part.
I mean, for a game, this is the best one that's done. These are the best games that have done it so far for Batman.
Well, I know that when I heard about this game and got really excited, I was having flashbacks to the Sega Genesis game for the Tim Burton movie.
Oh.
So I really actually liked that game.
Really?
But I think I liked it so much because when I played it, I was,
It's a side-scroller beat-em-up.
I was gonna say the one,
and I was tiny and didn't know any better, but I liked Batman.
Now you're big and don't know any better.
That's fair.
I had the Batman Returns one for the Game Gear.
Yeah. Oh, I had that one too. I don't know. I just remembered it. There was zero detective work in that.
No, it was a side-scrolling beat-em-up.
Yeah. And I loved it.
Now, what about this game did you enjoy? One thing, I really felt like they nailed what I wanted the tone of a Batman game to be.
I liked the much darker.
Yeah.
It was much darker, but it wasn't Dark Knight Returns dark. Like,
no.
That important distinction.
And for me, that's an important distinction.
So, Derek, are you familiar with Dark Knight Returns?
No.
So, Dark Knight Returns was a comic from the 80s, Brent.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't know anything about the comics.
Well, it was one of the things along with the Watchmen comic, which is credited with making all comics go gritty and dark.
Oh.
Because Frank Miller?
Yeah. It's set, Batman hasn't been Batman for 40 years.
Yeah, we're not going to go over the whole thing.
Anyways, yeah, it's
just violent and overwhelmingly dark, and that's it's too much.
Okay.
So this brought a certain level of seriousness. The animated series that we grew up on really hit that balance. It hit the sweet spot.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
Like, even today, it's still considered to be one of the best
Batman cartoons.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
So this really hit where if you grew up with that cartoon, this was the game you wanted. At least that was the overwhelming consensus.
Yeah. I mean, the detective work was really good in it. I liked a lot of the gadgets. But on the gadget note...
Okay, we're not to the negative. Because we'll get, what other good stuff? I just like... It was what I wanted the game to be.
I liked the feel
of it. The Poison
of it.
Ivy battle was a lot of fun.
The Poison Ivy battle was interesting because it was different. Poison Ivy, I always feel, is a dramatically underutilized character. Her abilities are so insane, and you have some Batman arcs. We're not going to get into comic stuff, but like, what was the one? No Man's Land?
Yeah.
Yeah, where she like single-handedly terraforms everything back to life at the end of it. Sometimes they touch on how significant Poison Ivy can be, but this game really brought the fact that she could have destroyed this whole island when she was injected with the Titan Serum. So I thought that was a really decent use.
Another thing I did enjoy was from an Easter egg perspective, especially in the Asylum, the amount of other
they peppered in so many references.
Like the cage that's frozen because it's Mr. Freeze's, or like I was talking with Derek about the Clayface stuff, where you walk up to the cell because you think it's Commissioner Gordon, but you turn on the X-ray and he has no bones.
And when you turn around, he's someone else.
I think you have to leave and come back.
But he can change.
I think I noticed that, and I think I remember asking myself, how did Commissioner Gordon get locked up? Never even put on X-ray mode. Never realized that was Clayface until on the way over here when Brent said it.
I wish I could remember what... he has 3 people he turns into, but I don't remember what the other 2 are off the top of my head.
There were 2 other little Easter eggs that I thought were really fascinating. One, they hid a foreshadowing to Arkham City so well.
Is it the Quincy Sharp thing?
Where you have to put 3... Okay. So, in one room, I don't remember what it is.
It's like an off room from his office or something.
With no indication, you have to spray bat gel 3 times in one spot. You never have to do this. It's never more than 1.
Then I likely missed this.
Well, everybody
had
did.
to look it up, yeah.
Because Rocksteady, years later, they're like, all right, nobody found this. Go here, put bat gel 3 times. They're like, oh, wow, there's a diorama of Arkham City in here. They put it in when the game came out, and nobody ever found it.
Which is also pseudo, because it has like a note thing there, and Quincy Sharp thinks he's like the reincarnation.
Oh, yeah.
Of whatever his name,
Amadeus Arkham.
Yeah, the guy who founded Arkham Asylum.
Which is a reference to Arkham Asylum, A Serious House on Serious Earth, which is a landmark Batman story.
Were there other hints and winks towards that? Because I feel like
there's another one. There's some tape too. I just can't remember all of it off the top of my head at this point.
Yeah, I actually have that comic somewhere. It's very hard to read. I would look up a synopsis.
Okay. Yeah, because there's also a hint that Hugo Strange... We'll get to that when we get to the second game.
So, now that we've talked about all the stuff we did like, let's talk about the bits and pieces we didn't. So one thing, Brent, I'll let you take.
I don't just let... it's bad.
Goofy.
It's only bad from a storytelling standpoint. I get it from a game progression standpoint, but he has his weird Arkham Asylum Batcave underneath the Arkham Asylum, because apparently he's afraid this is always going to happen. Why not have one everywhere?
Yeah, come on, that seems like a Batman thing to do. It really does.
So he's like, midway through, he's like, I can't break this wall. I need the Bat Claw. So he goes down in there and he pops some buttons, and up pops a pedestal with the Bat Claw, and he grabs. He's like, I'm on this. So later on in the game, he's like, I can't do this with the Bat Claw. I need the prototype better Bat Claw. So you go back to get it.
You don't. I don't feel like you do that. I feel like he calls in the Bat Jet.
Alfred drops
the Bat Jet comes here, drops it down, and you're like, thanks, Bat Jet. And then it flies away. You're like, why are you not using the Bat Jet to blow things up?
Yeah,
like if you have
access. The question is, why didn't you get this in the first place?
Why didn't you get it in the first? Well, it was untested. Yeah.
You don't want to use untested equipment in the field.
Yeah, I just don't understand where he's like, I can totally have Batjet back me up, but I won't. Including the part where he fights Joker at the end. He doesn't call in Batjet for backup then.
Valid.
Yeah.
Well, he also clearly there is a Robin at this point. He calls in no one to help him.
No one to help. So these 2 games highlight a bigger problem. They don't reference any of the Robin stuff in the first game that I recall.
Wait. But you know that one exists because you are talking to Oracle, who is Batgirl post being
shot.
Yeah.
Oh, God, and you talk to Oracle?
Yeah. She's one of the ones help. Her and Alfred are talking to you constantly.
Wait a minute. This storyline is all messed up then, because didn't you say that at the end of Origins, I know we're not talking about Origins, but at the end of Origins, the capture of Joker is literally the same capture that leads into Arkham?
For fan reference, Origins is like 5 years before Asylum.
Okay, that makes more sense then.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Anyways, so there's just little details about the first one that bug me. One thing that I didn't like, I understand the restraint of it. It felt unnecessarily closed in. I know you were in the asylum, so there were restraints, but it just didn't feel like organic to me. Like, it just felt claustrophobic.
There was a little bit about the camera, like being the over-the-shoulder thing that I kind of always wished. I think I ended up dying a lot because during before I got my button timing down and I was able to move from enemy to enemy, fluidly, I felt like it was a little close, that I felt like if it had just backed off of him a little bit, I could have seen more coming, more time. But as far as I don't think I realized how small the map was until the other games came out.
Yeah, I didn't even think it was that big at the time.
Really?
Yeah, it felt like why it felt so claustrophobic is because there was so much going on in there.
Well,
That's
I'll give the map for its size. For its size, the amount of Riddler, if you did all the Riddler trophy things.
God.
I think I did that.
I hate the
The first one isn't that bad.
Yeah.
They're all bad.
Some of them give you some really neat stuff. I think that's one way you probably got one of the Quincy Sharp ones is a Riddler thing, if I
Maybe
remember
that's
right.
what it is, yeah.
But yeah, because you can get all the interrogation tapes. There's a lot of interesting story bits from this universe in there.
Yeah, like you said earlier, there were a lot of pepperings of hints to here and there, and I know that I didn't get most of them because I never read any of the comics.
But anyways, this was a very solid foundation. This was a great first outing for these kind of games for these people. So that's when they announced Batman Arkham City, everybody was on board.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I'm going to have to let you guys take point on this, not because I don't remember it, but because between the advertising and the way I played it, I completely screwed up my playthrough of this. So we'll give the real broad overview again, which is to say, a year after Arkham Asylum.
I think it's less than that. But
Something like that. The warden of Arkham Asylum has walled off the slums of Gotham to turn into a prison city.
Yeah, because he runs for mayor.
Right, and he succeeds.
Took credit for everything Batman did at Arkham.
And he thinks he is the reincarnation of Amadeus Arkham.
Right.
Which you then later find out is something that Hugo Strange did to him. It's not true. He did
hypnotism.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah.
Hypnotism to trick him into believing it.
So that way he'd make Arkham City.
And while you're in there, you have to confront.
Well, we didn't even talk about how he got in there.
Oh, he's arrested for something.
Well, Bruce Wayne is opposed to Arkham City. Hugo Strange, who is running Arkham City, gets his militia to arrest him and throw him in there. And then while he's in there, he finds out Hugo Strange is working with the Joker, who is in there as well. Now go.
And the Joker is still poisoned from taking the super venom in the first game, and he's dying from it. Yeah. So he poisons Batman and sends blood to blood banks throughout the city, and it's being spread throughout every hospital in Gotham
to try to force Batman to find a cure.
So Batman has to go find Mr. Freeze, who's in the clutches of the Penguin. He has to go through all this, get a cure, all while at the same time Hugo Strange is about to initiate his
Protocol 10.
Yeah, there we go. So after he gets the cure, Hugo Strange initiates Protocol 10,
which is to destroy Arkham City.
He goes to confront Hugo Strange. Hugo Strange gets killed by Ra's al Ghul, who's actually behind Hugo Strange.
Ra's al Ghul?
Oh, don't say that.
But Ra's al Ghul impales Hugo Strange. Sorry, we watched a recap of this before we recorded it, and the guy kept saying Ra's, and I thought Brent was going to have an embolism. It was pretty funny.
An aneurysm?
No, all of them.
An embolism?
All the embolisms.
I don't think you're going to see an embolism.
Sure I will. He'll be like, ow, my foot.
Okay, maybe. Maybe.
And then afterwards, he has to go free Talia al Ghul from the Joker, who then turns out to actually be Clayface. And
so Joker was working with Clayface.
There's a lot of stuff we skipped here, but
we'll retouch on it. And then at the end, after Batman has the antidote, he doesn't use it on the Joker. The Joker destroys it. Joker dies at the end. Yeah. I want to talk about what I screwed up first.
Okay, talk about.
So the way the game was advertised, I really thought Two-Face was going to be way bigger in it.
Yeah.
I really thought that Catwoman was going to be bigger.
You still play as Catwoman 4 times throughout the game.
Very minimal.
Which is something we should point out. This game allowed you to play as someone other than Batman.
That is significant. But I thought Two-Face was going to be bigger. I didn't think Penguin was going to be much of a thing. I
feel like I thought Penguin was going to be a thing.
I didn't think he was. I didn't realize he was going to be over half of the game. That's what really messed me up was I focused so much on Penguin that I beat the Penguin storyline. I'm like, well, I'll do the next thing. I beat that game in 8 hours.
Wow. Yeah,
because I just focused on the main story. Because I didn't think it was the main story.
I did a lot of the side quests myself, like the Azrael side quest.
I did almost none of it.
I'm trying to remember some of the side quests in the second one.
There was Mad Hatter. There was Hush.
The Mad Hatter. There's Hush bothered me in that game, and I get it. They were setting it up for a third one, but the way it just ended, completely loose end, where he just walks out of the room and he's like, I'll leave you here. Goodbye.
Yeah, I do remember that.
So there was a lot of really well done side stuff in this game. Unfortunately, I just screwed it up. Okay, here we go. So you have the Riddler again. Well, you have Bane.
Right.
I thought Bane,
Well, he wants you to destroy the Super Titan formula for him to stop it from being used.
And then he screws you at the end. That one I did.
Yeah.
And then Batman's like, oh, shocker, I got screwed by Bane. He just like slaps him down.
Yeah.
And he locks him in a room or something like that.
Yeah.
That's the one where when you finally fight Bane, you fight him in like the top story of some building. It's not the rooftop. It's
that's Origins. That's Origins.
Then I did play Origins.
We know you played Origins.
Well, I couldn't remember.
In this, it's barely a fight. In City, he literally tries to screw you, and basically, like, it's a quick time event.
Yeah, you like backflip out of a door and close it.
Oh,
like he's super weak. He's like his muscles have been super taxed from the first game.
I getcha.
Scarecrow's one because you go into those weird Scarecrow verse things again. They're like nightmarish worlds that you have to fight giant scarecrows.
So the Scarecrow was a thing in this?
Scarecrow.
Wasn't he just challenge missions?
I mean, there's still like several level side
Because I'm looking
things.
at the side quests here. We had the Riddler, we had Bane, we had Zaz. Zaz was right.
Oh, yeah, he was a thing in the second one.
I remember that.
And then Mr. Freeze was necessary. Mr. Freeze, Hush we mentioned, Penguin, Deadshot.
Oh yeah, Deadshot's in this one. Okay, all right.
And all this stuff was really well integrated into the game. It makes me wish I hadn't screwed up when I played it, because the way I play games, when I hit the end of the story, for the most part, I'm just done.
Yeah, me too.
So when the credits started rolling, I'm like, ooh, because when you get up to this final confrontation with the Joker, and it turns out Clayface has been working with Joker, and you fight Clayface out of nowhere, that pretty much stops the momentum cold. Because it's great to see that they got Clayface in, because I loved the version of Clayface from our animated series. Yeah. But he was very poorly integrated into this game.
And it's the only time in the series he's really used.
Right.
Well, it's a lot like the weird thing about the Penguin having Solomon Grundy locked in a cage.
Yeah.
What the hell? He's like it's Jabba the Hutt and he's the Rancor underneath the pit down there.
Yeah, it's just some weird zombie dude. It's like, oh, Solomon Grundy's down here. Okay.
When that happened, I'm like, really? Solomon Grundy's what you go with?
I want to know why Penguin is snatching up all the other bad guys.
Well, is it all of them or just the one?
No.
Well, he captured Freeze in the third one, right?
No.
Was that the second?
He has him locked up in the second one.
Yeah.
I think it's because he's trying to spite Joker. Like, they say at some point, because of the way that Arkham City is, there's like a turf war going on between Joker, Penguin, and Two-Face. And when you showed up in like hog-tied Two-Face, you like changed the dynamic.
Yeah.
So a lot of the stuff was really interesting in this game. And I know you guys loved it, because if you look at your completion percentage, it's through the roof.
Yeah, I think the thing about the story, and I get why people don't like it, I enjoyed the story, but I get because it's very much based on like isn't The Long Halloween a bunch of villains? Yeah, that's a lot of where they took. You can tell.
And this game, it used space tremendously well. The world design was phenomenal. This game, Arkham Asylum, came out to critical reviews, critical as in good. This game came out to even stronger reviews. This was the game that everybody didn't know they wanted after Arkham Asylum came out.
Well, I think the side quests were really good. I think the just the mechanics were made better in this game from the first one.
Yeah, I remember it feeling better.
Yeah, the fighting was definitely...
It was just an amazing game, and I really wish I played it better.
But I like being able to play as Catwoman was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because wasn't there... She had like a little mini...
She had a mini story. She was dealing with... Two-Face and something else. Yeah, but she was after something.
I thought she was just stealing from him to spite him.
There's something she was specifically... I don't remember. At this point, it's been long enough.
Yeah.
But I do like at the very end when you play her last mission and she's about to leave, and that's when the last thing that happened to Batman is you're like pinned under something and she comes back.
Yeah.
Well, you can choose to come back. I don't know what happens if you choose to walk out the door. I'm curious. I've never done it, so
I'm sure we can look that up at some point.
But also, this also introduced the challenge map, the challenge stuff outside of the main game, where you could also play as Robin and Nightwing, which was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I remember those. Those were really fun.
You could also get the animated series skins of all the characters.
Skins. God, I love the skins in the second game.
Well, Arkham Knight, we're going to dial those up to 11.
Because Arkham City had a good deal. Arkham Knight had more, but Arkham City had like the Batman Beyond one.
I played the Batman Beyond in every version that you could.
Now, so some of the animated ones were nice, but some of them, like if you played them in the main game, like you played the Batman one or the Catwoman one, it's really jarring because it feels like they just took a picture of the animated series one and put the skin on there.
Yeah.
And then you're in there and you're like, this doesn't fit and it feels really weird.
This feels unnatural.
Well, I loved it.
I
went through a lot of them, but I chose the Batman Beyond skin in both games because they're just awesome. And also, as much as I love seeing the cape whenever he glides, the big cape, you know, and then
having the small wings.
Having the small... Okay, so that was actually a little underwhelming. But I felt like I could see more when his cape wasn't flying around.
Yeah.
So it had function and form, in my opinion.
So is there anything you guys didn't particularly like about Arkham City? My only complaints, as I stated, really come from myself. So
I have one last positive.
Okay.
If one thing City had above, especially when we get to, it had the best boss battles.
Now, you're going to have to bring those back around for me because I remember fighting Clayface and I remember...
The Mr. Freeze battle was really awesome.
I don't remember that at all.
So
was that the one in the police station?
Is it the... Oh, that's where he's at. He's in the old police station.
Is that where you do the Predator fight?
Yeah, you can't attack him the same way more than once.
Yeah.
You have to,
because
three different...
that was really clever.
He learns.
Yeah.
That was good.
There were a lot of nifty... Like, they were all different boss battles for City, and there were a lot of them. Mm-hmm. Like, it's been so long trying to remember. Some of them are really hard at this point.
But they made more than two is what's important here. So...
Well, is it in the second one where they introduced the fact that the characters, the enemies, could destroy the vantage points? Because I felt in the first one, if you were patient enough and you hit in a vantage point long enough, you could find a way.
I know in City they did that because that happened to me a lot.
Yeah,
if you waited too long.
Yeah, I got screwed so many times.
But yeah, that's the one point I want because that's one positive for City that I like above all of them. And Origins being based on City had really good boss battles because of that.
Got it. So what about, you said that was your last positive. So what are your negatives about City? You got?
I want to ask a question before we go into negatives.
Sure.
Was there any driving in the second game?
No.
So they didn't introduce the Batmobile?
We're going to talk heavily about
the Batmobile.
I'm sure. But
Batmobile, the game.
I remember seeing the Batmobile in Arkham Asylum. The
one that gets smashed up by Bane or something.
And it's just sitting there. And I'm like, why is this not a thing?
Well, when you go to get into it, like when he goes back to use it, like there's giant handprints in it because Bane has smashed. Someone has smashed it, if I remember right.
Man, I don't remember that. But yeah, I remember thinking it'd be cool if I could drive this.
Negatives?
The fact that you couldn't drive the Batmobile when I wanted to in the first game.
There are a lot of things, I wish they could have upgraded in it. And yeah, there's a lot of story going on. Maybe too many villains in the main story. I still enjoyed it a lot, but I can see where it could be disjointing at times.
Well, I still think that the Arkham City thing, it made sense with the context they were going with.
Yeah.
This is an important distinction because I thought Arkham Knight, it felt real shoehorned. Because this negative is way more negative in the next game.
Okay.
But is there anything else you want to touch on about this one?
Man, I think I'm done with this one. I think I've done all my points.
Derek?
I don't think I can remember anything else.
In that case, let's just launch into the final of what is considered to be the trilogy. There was an Arkham Origins.
Yes.
But
and there's a movie, too.
There's a movie. There's also Arkham Origins Blackgate.
There's the spin-off games. Like, there's 2 mobile games.
The mobile games did not.
The movie, Batman Assault on Arkham.
It's like Assault on Precinct 13.
Oh, I didn't see that
Basically,
movie either,
half the game is about the Suicide Squad. Half the movie is about the Suicide Squad.
Oh, but there was already a movie, Suicide Squad.
Well, yeah, this was before that, and almost shockingly, I feel like they took some of the movie from this game. But
was Will Smith in this spin-off game?
No, he was not.
I mean, movie? Oh, okay.
But the movie set in between Origins and Asylum, so...
Anyways, so Arkham Knight. We'll talk about this again. This was a divisive game. At least it was for me. It got strong reviews when it came out. And technically it was strong, but it had a lot of shortcomings. So in this game, the Scarecrow is threatening Arkham with... Not Arkham.
The entire city of
Gotham with his fear gas, and it causes almost everybody to evacuate. And basically, it's just a different take on Arkham City to me.
Except, they've released all the
whole city.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things I wish they would have done. We'll get into that in a second. Mm-hmm. But, yes, he's threatening the city with the help of his right-hand man, the Arkham Knight, who is a high-tech-looking Batman.
I'll be honest with you. I, for a long time, thought the title referred to Batman, the Arkham Knight. I did not realize until they referenced him in the game that Arkham Knight was a separate character.
Well, that's because he was new for this game.
Right.
So, I mean, Batman is the Dark Knight.
Character.
No, he wasn't.
I didn't think for 1 second he was going to be an original character.
It made me so angry. So, those two are working together. For some reason, Arkham Knight is super against Batman because who could Batman have wronged in his past? Anybody with even a mild familiarity with Batman, a mild familiarity, knew exactly who this dude was. Especially when halfway through the story, Batman's like, oh my god, I'm suddenly plagued with all these visions of Jason Todd, who I haven't referenced in any of these previous games, but now they might have done it in like your little things.
In City, there's a brief thing because there's one point where Robin shows up in a cutscene, and he's like, I should come in and help you, and he's like, no.
Yeah, but
there's some dialogue that I don't remember all of it, and Robin gets pissed off.
But he is so distraught over Jason Todd in this game.
Yeah.
True.
And it's like, we've been building up to this for 2 games at this point. You guys probably had an idea where this was going. Mm-hmm. You could have referenced him at some point.
Right.
Just saying. So, shockingly...
I was just happy they didn't bring the Joker back from the dead.
So, that is another important point is... Batman gets hit with the fear toxin real bad and starts hallucinating Joker because it turns out that Batman's still poisoned from the Titan stuff in the second game. And he's trying to figure out a cure. Meanwhile, the Arkham Knight and Scarecrow are working to hit all of Gotham and was it the world or just Gotham?
I think it started.
Just Gotham.
I think it started just Gotham, but it
was going to be the Eastern Seaboard.
Yeah,
that was what it was going to be.
Yeah,
because they introduced some real side characters that I was really shocked they brought in there. Man, what's his name? The rich guy, because you have to go on his dirigible to get, because they're going to use those.
I can't remember what it's the guy who's doing the cloud burst. Yeah, I don't remember his name either. But anyways, so you get to near the end and shocker, Arkham Knight is actually Jason Todd. Gasp. Even though Jason Todd already is a character called Red Hood, which they reference in the boss fight when he puts on his sniper hood. That's a red hood. Yeah. Like, this is so dumb. So dumb. And once you defeat him and you go in, and without getting too into it, Batman ends up in Scarecrow's custody. He ends up defeating Scarecrow and locking away Joker in his mind forever. And he said during the process, Scarecrow unmasks him. Everybody knows that Batman's Bruce Wayne, and he says to initiate the Nightfall procedure, which in this case...
If you complete 100% of all the side quests...
That includes the Riddler stuff, which
is a
means
pain.
I didn't do it.
I'm pretty sure I did.
Everyone but Josh, I know, at least I know, did it. So.
I didn't, because the Riddler stuff is stupid.
It's not that bad,
It's
though.
stupid.
Hey, if I can figure it out, you could have got it.
Oh, no, I'm not saying I couldn't figure it out. I'm saying I'm not wasting the time.
No.
I have
There are a
limited
few
amount
that
of-
kind of are
It was
a pain
a
in
long.
the
It was
ass.
a long time. The ones that involve the Batmobile.
Yeah.
I
What
can't
was
tell you how many
most
times I played
frustrating
The
about
ones where you had
that?
to launch out of the Batmobile.
them. Yeah.
The thing that was the most frustrating about that, more than anything, is that you save Catwoman from the Riddler, and the Riddler's like, Riddler bot, but you can't fight me till you get the rest of my trophies. Like,
Yeah.
really?
Oh yeah, I definitely did that.
Like, really? This is how you're gonna do it? There were so many disjointed bits in this that I could not enjoy. So, for example, they're like, oh, so you've wrapped up these side quests, but in order to finish it, you have to go and get the rest of the mines and the rest of the outposts so you can fight Deathstroke, who's a reference to a character in this game that a lot of you probably didn't play. Now, Deathstroke, major bad guy. No doubt about that. The way they put him in there, useless.
Yeah. I agree.
Terrible. So when you depose Arkham Knight, Deathstroke takes over as the leader of Arkham Knight's militia, and you can fight him, I guess, when you take...
You fight him in a tank.
Really?
You fight him in the tank.
You don't even fight him?
Not on hand to hand. No.
No.
What a waste.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah.
But you did get to fight him in the second game, right?
No, you fought him in
Origins.
Origins,
Origins. Okay.
which is the one we're not talking
I know that we looked it up, but I am 100% certain that I played that. Now.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that I wish there would have been, like, civilians in this. I understand why there weren't, because the idea is, oh, well, we can justify you flying through the streets and electrocuting prisoners and other people, but we can't justify you accidentally hitting civilians when you try to drift your way around that corner and slam into that store. I get why I get why people were upset by that, because Origins did the exact same thing.
Well, and so I like things they tried to do in this game. Like, they went in for the deep cuts in this game. I mean, one of the villains that you apprehend is Professor Pig.
Yeah, that
They
was...
went
yeah.
with Professor Pig.
That was actually super terrifying to me.
Oh, no,
That's
they
crazy
made him
creepy.
him
Okay,
straight
thank
up
you.
Jigsaw.
Yes. Oh,
Like-
thank God. I'm glad I
Like,
wasn't
his
the
whole
only one.
thing, like...
And his minions that he sends after you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude. Terrifying.
Yeah, I was here when Josh played that one. I'm like, I can't wait for you to finish this up and figure out who this is. And he's like, is it this person? I'm like, I ain't saying anything.
Yeah, I would. Anybody who's listening who hasn't played it, don't play it in a dark room in the middle of the night by yourself.
It's super weird.
Because I thought for the longest time it was either going to be the Calendar Man or Zaz.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can find the Calendar Man's room, which I got Josh to do because it's hilarious. Because he has a book of dates he wants to go through, because he's like, this year I'm going to do dates that are non-conventional holidays, and he has a list of all the things he's going to do on like Tie Day and National something day. Like all these are like the stupidest holidays in the world. And he goes, but I got to be conventional with Halloween. I'm going to hit Halloween. And the last entry is from earlier that day where it goes, you scarecrow.
So some of the
The man bat was pretty...
the man bat
I liked
was
Man Bat. That freaked me out when I
think
found him
it
because I
did
stumbled
everyone.
upon
it
it.
freaked well, you have to stumble
Oh, that's
upon
true,
him the
yeah.
first time. Like, that's the thing. That actually wasn't. It was super sad.
Yeah.
Actually, it was sad, and then it was spooky
Yeah.
because you went back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Mr. Freeze wrap-up one, that
Okay.
was super sad.
That was, but we'll talk about that DLC here in a second.
Okay.
So that was DLC. Then, like, Two-Face was in the game, but why? Like, I know they had to have him in because it was Two-Face, kind of. Like, they had to have Penguin in because it was Penguin,
I think
kind of.
the Penguin gave you because the Penguin gave you the ability to do the You and Nightwing missions.
And it gave good closure to Nightwing. Like, it wrapped up your
Yeah, I really
interactions
liked
with him.
Nightwing.
then we'll have to talk. So, yeah, at the end, because there's even more to that. Both Nightwing and Robin had their own DLCs in the season pass thing. There were short stories.
Heard those didn't. You liked them, but they were very poorly
received. They
received.
were fun, but you know my complaints about them. They're too short. They should have been longer.
I heard the Batgirl one was like half an hour long.
Yeah.
Hour and a half.
Still.
It was real short. I wish they were longer.
I wish it would have gone more in depth.
That was one thing that I really liked about most of these games was some character development, like the important ones. Obviously, there were a bunch of villains and things that were thrown in as side quests and things that they couldn't, develop fully. But I really like the fact that they made Jason Todd the big bad in 3, and they let you play as as Robin in the second one, right?
Yeah, we completely skipped over Harley Quinn's Revenge.
Yeah.
In
the
Arkham
DLC.
City?
Yeah, the DLC for Arkham City where you got to play as Robin to rescue Batman from Harley Quinn.
But I really liked that, they brought in Nightwing. So they really covered all of the Robins.
I believe it's the Two-Face missions at night where you get to play as Robin, too.
I think so, yeah.
I don't... Do you?
I thought so.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, maybe you don't play as him, you play with him. You do play as Azrael for the Azrael missions where you have to pass the tests.
Yeah, I remember that.
I thought those were interesting.
Yeah, they were fun. It wasn't the Azrael I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Did you have a problem with that? I can't recall.
No. I thought it was an interesting choice. This being the last game, I guess it would be a weird one to go with the first Azrael out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So, what were some of the other ones that...
Oh, yeah. They have a final wrap-up for Hush.
Yeah,
that was weird.
The one where you're working with Lucius through the entire game, then all of a sudden he stops.
You
stops
lose contact
commenting,
with
and
Lucius.
Alfred's like, "You got to go check it out."
Yeah. Do you remember that?
I do remember.
So that was one of the most clever uses of a misdirect using a narrator.
Mm-hmm.
Narrator? Did I say that right?
I think so.
For some reason, that pronunciation sounds weird to me.
Narrator?
Yeah. I said narrator.
Narrator? I mean,
Anyways.
Potato.
I thought that was really clever how I went in there and how you go in there and then suddenly Bruce is being violent and it shifts perspective because that's not Bruce.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, that's actually Hush.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, besides Jason Todd, he was one of the other suspects when they were like, Arkham Knight is an original character. I'm like, I believe it's one of 3 people. Probably Hush. Yeah, the Hush one was interesting. At least they wrapped it up. Yeah, they wrapped it up. Mm-hmm. There was closure to some other ones I'm trying to... Oh, you did get to do Firefly.
Yeah, it was stupid.
Yeah, I wasn't. That was
it was kind of aggravating just having to keep up with him.
It was pointless.
That.
Like, it was trying to provide closure on some thread they started up in Origins that was never actually went anywhere.
I thought Firefly was in City.
No, maybe. I'm not an authority on City. Anyways, so we can talk about the DLC they introduced in this one only because you told me to pick up the DLC before I played the game.
Yeah.
Because it integrated better into the game. That included the Killer Croc one, which was completely forgettable. It sucked that Killer Croc got experimented on, but they didn't really flesh him out at all. There was the Mad Hatter one, which was a distraction more than anything.
Yeah.
The next 2 are the ones this was really
right.
for.
The 2 big ones were the Ra's al Ghul one and the Mr. Freeze one.
Yeah.
Both of which gave really final notes. So with the Ra's al Ghul one, you were given the choice whether or not you were going to revive him or basically let him die. And did anybody here not let him die?
Yeah, I let him die.
I think I revived him.
Really?
Because that's not Batman. He doesn't kill anybody.
Yeah, but I mean...
It's Ra's al Ghul, though.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things you just save baby Hitler, basically.
Yeah, I know.
And at that point, he's a zombie.
Yeah,
you can see his bits.
I get it.
I did like in their story that they integrated his other daughter into it.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting, too.
I was hoping there'd be closure on Talia, but I guess
died.
she's dead.
She just died.
She's like,
what closure do you need?
It's Ra's al Ghul. He's died more than once.
Who?
He's died more than once, too.
So, lastly, we'll talk about the Mr. Freeze one, which that subverted expectations.
So let me put this one in, because one of the best parts about Arkham Origin was the DLC, which for anyone who watched our animated series was an adult version of the Mr. Freeze episode, extended out to like 2.5 hours.
Cold Heart, I believe.
Yeah. The DLC was really, really good.
Man, I didn't play that when we found out, right?
Yeah.
I need to go back
you
and
need
do
to.
Yeah, you're going to take out your PS3 to play this.
I don't have to take it out. It's already set up.
Okay.
But
Keep them all set up.
yeah,
don't you?
Look at this room.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Anyways,
that DLC was really good, and this just expanded on that city and city story into...
I thought that it was fascinating that I love that you didn't fight Mr. Freeze in Arkham Knight.
Yeah,
I thought
I
that
agree.
was a really
Classy.
nice... Yeah.
It was classy.
And I really like that they brought his wife out of the suspended animation. She's like, I've not really been asleep this whole time, and you are killing yourself for me. He's like, you got it, honey. Cryo sleep off. Like, well, we could have days, we could have months. Let's go. And Alfred's like, are you going to do anything? Nope.
Yeah, I like this.
It
Real
was
classy.
Yeah, it was a real sad send-off.
True.
So,
but his character, I think, has always been like that.
He's always been
misconstrued.
Well,
tragic.
since
Yeah.
our animated series, because before that he was just an evil mad scientist, our
Oh,
animated
really?
series gave him
the wife.
incredible depth.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't
Like,
know that.
that thing earned them an Emmy.
Yeah.
Their first Emmy because of that episode.
They deserved it,
It
in my
was
opinion.
super good. So, did we talk about how this game ends once you've wrapped up all the side stuff?
that you go to
That
the
Batman or Bruce, I don't remember.
well, he
what
gets
it is.
out. He still has the mask off. He goes into the mansion
Wayne
with people
Manor.
out there trying to get his attention, and boom, it explodes.
It explodes. Then it cuts to the future,
Like
and
6 months or a year later.
it's a while later because Oracle and Tim Drake are engaged.
No, it's their wedding night, I think.
Oh, okay. And Commissioner Gordon is now mayor.
Yes.
And a scene very similar to Bruce Wayne's parents getting mugged and killed is about to go down because there is a wealthy elite couple and their child in a back alley. Mm-hmm. They're about to get mugged. And then someone who seems very much like Batman stops it. And they go, no, Batman's dead. You got to give this up. And then it does the fear toxin thing, and it just becomes big, scary bat, and boom,
That
over.
was okay. I'm just thinking about it. It's giving me chills again because I
That
really
was
thought
really
it was
well done.
I thought it was awesome.
Well, the YouTube video I watched.
Which raises really interesting questions because some of those DLCs, like the Nightwing one and the Robin one and the Catwoman one, are all set before that, but after the main game. So their stories. So I don't think it's any of them. So
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't think
yeah,
it was
I don't-
ever meant to lead us to that conclusion.
I don't think that, and speaking frankly, I don't think they're coming back to that series.
no, they've said this was it.
Yeah.
That is
I
so
think-
unfortunate.
I think if there was, the rumor was maybe Warner Brothers would do more Origin games. I think Night is the end.
I think they need to leave it.
Well,
Like,
there was the rumors a few weeks ago we never touched on that Rocksteady was making a Superman game. They've shot him down, but maybe they're not untrue. Who knows yet?
we need, at some point, we're going to do a mini or even a micro episode on why there can never be a good Superman game.
yeah.
We're not going to, not now.
Hang on. One thing. If anyone, I agree with a podcast that I listened to. If anyone else could, if there was a studio I think could do it, they proved you could do a Batman game.
Yeah,
That's true.
But one of the things that these games showed was they made believable weaknesses for Batman.
Yeah.
They made a way that he could be defeated both by people and by mental... there were ways that made it approachable and believable. This series really encapsulated... They weren't all perfect. Mm-hmm. We've talked about one of the biggest weaknesses
We've missed a few in Night so far, too, or are we going to get into that?
the weaknesses?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll touch on those. So, number one weakness, it was a Batmobile, the game.
It was Be the Batmobile.
Yeah. That drew a lot of consternation.
My biggest problem comes from the first time you have to go into the power plant, isn't it? Something like that?
Ace Chemicals?
Yeah, or something like that. So you have to go there, and there's one thing where you have to pull an elevator up. Well, in every other previous game, you've done it with the stupid bat claw you got in Asylum.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden, he's standing there, and he's like, I can't do this. I need the Batmobile, and you have to blow the wall. And I'm like, really? You couldn't do this yourself? You needed the Batmobile?
Yeah, he needs the Batmobile for everything in this game.
Well,
he's like, we gotta jump this battery. Better hook up the Batmobile.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like, oh, we gotta rappel up this wall. Batmobile deploy. I mean, it's like, time to jump between these different rooftops. Batmobile, go.
You know, you guys are hypercritical because I really liked the Batmobile.
No, before you say that, like, because the season...
I'm hypercritical.
You were
because of the season pass stuff, I played a lot of... Because of having that...
Still playing that
I would tell Derek that.
I know. I
told him the story, and I think I've mentioned it on the podcast before about GameStop.
Yeah. You have.
But one of the things is all the skins for the Batmobile. And they did a really good job. And you can tell Rocksteady was the one because every Batmobile feels different. They're not just they took the one in the game and said, hey, it looks like the one from the Batman Begins or the one from the Tim Burton movie. It's like every one of these drives different.
But you can only play them in the DLCs.
No. Well, yeah, but you can play them in the story too. You just can't do some stuff.
What?
Yeah, you have
If
to
anybody would know, it's him.
Yeah, you can go in and you have to go into some of the setting thing. You have to activate this Batman skin.
Why did they not make that more obvious? I am so angry.
Yeah, because that's how it's in the same place where you change what Batman skin you're wearing.
Yeah.
If you go to the Batmobile area and you just click on the one and activate that one and it check marks it.
I will be going back to test that.
Oh yeah, because I did it with the tumbler from Batman Begins just because I had to, and that's so much fun. But
what are other cons about this? Because we're starting to run a little low on time.
I mean, there were things about the story. I wish there was a final boss battle. There really isn't.
I kind of am cool with there not being, especially thematically.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm pretty cool with there not being one.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't feel a lack of conclusion.
If there was
I didn't. There was no lack of conclusion. It was just I wish there were some better and more boss battles than there were in Night.
I think what you're saying is you just wanted the game to be longer. You wanted more playtime, and I'm with you. I'm there. I loved the game so much. I wish it didn't end.
Well, I 100%ed it, so it was probably longer than it was for Josh.
Well, and I played I did almost all the stuff except the Riddler stuff, and I didn't wrap up the extraneous malicious stuff. I think I did everything else in that game.
Are you including the challenges?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, when I'm saying 100%, I'm talking the story.
The story,
yeah.
I think... Did I 100% it?
Well,
I can't remember.
If you got the end where...
Oh, yeah.
If you got Nightfall, then...
Yeah,
I did everything, but when they said you have to go and do these Riddler challenges, I'm like, no, YouTube.
Oh.
How much more time was that going to add? I had a decent opinion of this game when it was over. Yes, I was hypercritical, but I don't feel like any of these things are not... I feel like there's still issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that this game sucked. I'm saying this is a problem I have.
For as much as you used the Batmobile, I still really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
I liked a lot of the Batmobile stuff, but it was kind of ridiculous when he's like, turn into Batmobile hopper mode. Like, all right.
That's true. I think if I had to call one con, it was some of the bigger Batmobile heavy fights, because I died a lot.
Like when you were fighting Arkham Knight and his mega tank near the end.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
I think you're real good at the hiding from that thing.
Yeah.
Tell me how dumb that was, where it's like, all right, now quick sneak in your tank, sneak around the side.
Yeah. Sneaky side. It's like if you could see it sidestepping, like tippy-toeing.
Well, it does. It even does that, because it's like it comes around the corner, you're like, whoop, and switch into sidestep mode.
Yeah.
And you're like,
well, and that's what, like, one of the things
making that
one of the things they're expecting from you is to be able to hit them and then speed off, and you can't do that because that tank is gonna see you.
Yeah. And the mobility versus the speed trade-off made some of those tank fights insufferable.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not trying to rain on your parade here. It's just I came at this with a much different approach, because I beat it was it earlier this year?
It wasn't that long ago.
And that's like 2 years after it came out.
Yes.
I waited a while to play this one. And it was good. I'm not saying it wasn't good, but I feel like I definitely approached it with a much more critical eye than everybody else who played it, who's like, oh my god, Arkham Knight. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't know. Some of those fights, there were a ridiculous number of enemies that you were taking on solo in the Batmobile.
And I also...
Well, you also had a really good... You're like, I feel this one was more for fans.
Yeah, it's definitely...
Yeah.
And one thing I had a problem with was I feel like they made the combat needlessly complex. Like, they did this in all of them, but in this one it felt even more so. Like, you can press L1 and triangle, or L1 and square, or L2 and square, then triangle. Like, they really wanted you to do all these awesome combos. It's like, there were too many control schemes.
Oh, were you talking about the hand-to-hand?
All of them. So, when you're doing hand-to-hand, you have all these different button combinations.
Yeah,
then you get in the Batmobile, and here's driving Batmobile configuration. Then you turn into Battle Batmobile.
Okay, yeah, I do remember that.
There was like 90 different buttons, which I know I sound kind of like an old person here, but when you have to make flashcards up to be like, all right, which version am I in? Okay, cool. So now to activate Bat EMP, turn into battle mode, hold down triangle until you're level 3, and then I can hijack 3 robots. That's not an exaggeration.
Yeah. I don't think I found the Batmobile controls to be all that confusing. I think they were not fluid by any means.
They were not confusing. It was just a lot. The hand-to-hand was the stuff that really... I felt like I used one combo the whole game.
Yeah, there are a couple of
this
times...
one I've been playing it for so long, like, I could just fluidly...
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, you gotta be good at something, right?
I guess that's true.
Arkham Knight's your straight-up jam at this point. You've been playing it almost consistently for 2 years.
I've almost started everything. At least I feel like I got the $40 that were paid for it.
$40
for the DLC.
Right.
Oh yeah, that season
is
pass.
Is that the reason you've held this vendetta for so long, and is that the reason why you're like still gung ho about it?
On beating it? Yeah. Kind of. Because I feel like
$40.
I need to.
Well, anybody listening, if you want to get Brent fired up, take $40.
If you're about to say, is that why you're holding it against GameStop? No, GameStop has done enough erroneous things to piss me off over the years.
Yeah. So all this being said, I think we're at the point where we can give our final brief overview thoughts on the series. So Brent, why don't you lead us off?
I mean, yeah, I enjoyed the series a lot. I mean, there were faults that I wish were better, things I wish they would have done a little differently, but I've overwhelmingly enjoyed it. And I think there was finality, so I'm fine with where it's ended at. I don't need another game or anything like that.
I would have to generally agree with that. It started in a place I really liked. I almost wish I could go back and play some of them fresh. Like, if I could replay Arkham City and not know things... I wish I could have done it differently. As it stands, the way it all came together, it was a really solid package that they could have made a couple different steps. They made some directional decisions in the tail end I was not a fan of. Really, Arkham Knight in general, I thought was just a huge, pointless misdirect. But I know why they did it, and I admire them for trying. So it was a good series. I'm glad I played it, but... I'm probably not going to pick up another superhero series like this. Like the Arkham series, if they do come out with a Superman one or a Spider-Man, I'm just probably not doing it.
Spider-Man is that new Spider-Man game is probably Arkham Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's what everybody's saying. But yeah, so positive things overall. Derek?
I mean... I think first of all, let me start by saying the fact that I can't very well remember any of these games means they have replay value to me. I can pick them up and kind of start fresh again, which I might very well do. As far as the ending, it's one of those things that you hate but you love. Like I don't want them to come out with another game and further explain it, but... At the same time, I'm like, At the
same time, you're like, who
is it? Yeah.
What is it?
But it's I love not knowing, but I hate not knowing.
It was a great ending.
Yeah.
Like that last scene was a phenomenal
fantastic.
Ending. There's no...
But I think I don't feel as critical about these. I mean, you guys are in my opinion, a little more purist from not having a comic book background.
Oh, purist in that regard.
Yeah, like from not having a comic book background and being mostly movie and cartoon kind of thing. I didn't find as many of the things that you guys complained about to be that big a deal, but the most recent Batman game that I played before the Arkham series, I'm pretty sure was on the Game Gear, was Batman Forever.
Was it Forever or Returns?
No, Forever.
There, you had a very low bar.
Yeah, exactly. That was my point. And that game was confusing and hard. And as a matter of fact, I might go home and pick it up to see if I can even remember how. I knew I couldn't beat it then. I don't know if I can do it now.
Why? Just why?
Just cause.
All right. All right.
Yeah, so I really liked it.
Glad to hear.
And I will play a Superman or Spider-Man trilogy.
The Spider-Man game coming out, I'm kind of intrigued by.
I don't know.
This is
not
focus.
Spider-Man, but
not now. So I admire your passion. Maybe we'll find a time to revisit it.
Yeah.
On that note, Brent, thank you for coming on.
Yep.
Derek, thank you for finally coming on.
I'm going to be back.
All right. Let us know what you thought of the Arkham series. Get online. What did you like best about Asylum, City? Did you love Origins? Did anybody love Origins? Let us know if you thought Night deserved more recognition than it got. But until next time, my name is Josh, and this is Co-Opinions.